today. Plant City, they've got quite a bit of snow on the ground still, and it's still pretty cold up here. Cutting some pretty good walnut. Cleanup is key on this job. It's very essential since we're working right on the edge of the crop fields here. A skidder would be nice because a couple of these have hung up and we've had to use the skid steer to get them down, which one of them had a big wide crotch in it and we were hoping it'd hang up. This might be fairly tricky right here. We don't want it to roll. If it rolled down there, we might never get it. This out here. Kind of hard to do all this and film with two hands. Like I said, cleanup's key. We've had several trees fall right out here, and we're just pushing all that brush back in there. Of course, we'll cut that up a little bit more where it lays flat. Then I'll give it another good shove down in there. Keeping everything out of their fields is that is the client's #1 priority here, and that's why we have the skid steer at the grapple, because we can do such a good job of cleanup. You can do a pretty good job with a skidder, but nothing like you can with a skid steer. You can just do a lot of fine finesse work when it comes to cleaning up tops with a skid steer. Dandy oak. We're going to cut all the oak timber here as well on this job. We'll have to have the skidder for that. And really, I hadn't planned on even getting these ones kind of down out of the field with the skid steer. But plans change, and we're moving wood. That's the main part. When the ground's frozen and slick, these rubber tracks just do not get around at all. Then I've had people comment about putting metal tracks on. I do not want to put metal tracks on either one of my skid steers. That's not the route I'm really wanting to go. Let's see if we can kind of brush this stuff back right here. Let's see if we can sneak in here and grab this one. With it. That's the beauty of these backup cameras on these things. Got a couple good crotch pieces there. I'm not for sure what we're going to do with those. We'll do something with them. Somebody will want them. It's a little slower going with the skid steer, just because of the extra work you got to do just to get them out to a deck. But we got to pack these quite a ways to get them where we can load out. Which we had the skidder, we just drag them tree length, and we will eventually, probably next week, we'll have the skidder over here. But for now, we're still just using the skid steer. Try to slip in here and get this other one. Now you remember a few weeks ago, I actually made a video looking at this timber right here. And now we're cutting it. Regardless, anyway, you can see what we're wanting to do is fall what we can of these big walnut out here in this field, just because we got the skid steer right now. And what I'll do is, he's measuring them off and cutting them into their lengths right now. I'm coming along with the skid steer, and I'm taking my tines, and I'll put these things right on the ground like that. kind of see how that rakes. We can rake up about 90% of the debris like that. I'd say 90 to 95 easily enough. I mean, there's some little odds and end pieces we'll miss, and anything big we get by hand, that's actually Mike's job to go back and get some of that stuff by hand. Hung up here, let me get him out. What I'm doing with the tops is just shoving them back out of the edge of the field where they're not row cropping anyway. See, the edge of the field kind of ends right here. Here's a row of beans they didn't even get right there, but that's where the row crop field's ended, and so we're shoving it as deep in there as we can. Kidney's out of gas. I'm going to grab this log here and put this good log. Big tree there. Judging by how he was shaking his head, I don't know if it'll be any good or not. Set it up here out of the way for now. Don't roll. Stay right there. If I remember right, one of these big trees had a lightning scar on it. This might be the one. Regardless, still a big tree. Big tree. Well, we just pinched it with a grapple there, pulled her back, and she come on down. Now, while they're measuring that and getting that marked up, I'm going to make a few more passes up here and get our debris field cleaned off. I'm tickled to death with how well these skid steers work for us, especially with doing cleanup, because that's one thing we really try to pride ourselves on, how well we can leave a job site as far as clean. And I think a lot of working in this area where we're at, and why we get a lot of referrals like we do, is because there's been some logging went on in years past, and I don't know, because we've just started working in this area here the last couple of years, but I think one thing that helps us out is how well we do clean up. And we try to do that most places we work. You know, if it's along a hay field, a crop field, a working cattle operation, we really try to get in there and clean things up the best we can. That way our clients can still utilize their field and their land long after the harvest. I mean, just because they have trees harvest, we don't want them to, you know, contemplate not cutting their trees just because they're worried about a mess and they can't utilize the land the best they can. So that's why we try to do the things we do with the skid steers, and why we spent the money we have on the skid steers and the grapples and changed our operation up so much in the last 7 to 8 years. We've got a couple more brutes to come down right there. Another one right there. Real humdingers up through here. Last few trees of the day are here on this west fence line, where we actually started the job. There's about, let's see, maybe 9 more to cut over here. A few of them are pretty good size. Just trying to pile the treetops. Like I said, clean up is key on this job. So we're trying to do a good job of piling up the treetops out of the field and rake all the debris off the ground as well with the grapple. It's just above freezing, so it's kind of starting to thaw a little bit and melt, so it's getting pretty slick in places. Just easing up through here. We'll get ready for the next one to come down. Hey guys, if you like what you see, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for all of our latest videos.